Welcome to Business Talk, presented in collaboration with the University of Rio Grande and the Ohio State University South Centers, from the heart of southeastern Ohio at the University of Rio Grande TV studio. Our goals are simple: promote the University of Rio Grande and the Ohio State University South Centers, as well as advocate local small business and their support organizations. More importantly, promote southeastern Ohio as a wonderful place to live, explore, and learn. There are many different ways you can find us. The University of Rio Grande Cable Access Channel 17, live online at blogtalkradio.com, and on YouTube if you are unable to catch our show live. Introducing our co-hosts, Jason Winters, Mike Thompson, Patrick Dengel. Thank you for tuning in. We hope you enjoy the show.
Hey, welcome to our show. Today is October the 9th, 2013. Can you believe that, Mike? Time is just going by so quickly before you know it.
Yeah, it'll be Christmas and we'll be looking at a new year.
Yes. And today we have a special guest. I was very pleased. Do you remember, Mike, when you first went to college? And
Not really. I went to the military.
You went to the military, but you remember when you...
It was a little bit more shocking than college, I'm pretty sure.
Yes. Well, I remember the first day and going to the school. In my purview, I did not see a lot of the behind the scenes kinds of things. What happens, how a tremendous amount of time and energy goes into that. And today we're going to be talking a little bit about behind the scenes, what it takes to keep the university moving toward helping individuals graduate here at the University of Rio Grande, as well as other colleges and universities. Today it's my pleasure to introduce Mark Abell. Mark is the Dean of Enrollment here at the University of Rio Grande Community College. My understanding is that he has had 40 years involved in helping students, being involved in the educational programs, different things of that nature. And I is very pleased. Thank you, Mark, for coming on to our show.
Thank you, Patrick. It's great to be here.
It's my understanding that as Dean of Enrollment, you know just pretty much every student that's here. I'm just joking. But before we talk a little bit about that, tell us about yourself.
Well, when you said that I'd been here at the university for 40 years, I've been telling people that I've been here for 40 years, but to hear somebody else say it, it sounds like a really long time. So I've had the privilege, I guess, of being a part of the university for that period and watching the changes and the growth and the direction of the university move to what we are today. So that's been very gratifying, and I have to say that I've been happy to be a part of that. I am not originally from this area, but graduated from Ohio State University, where I met my wife, who was from this area, and I ended up coming here for employment originally, not at the university, but as a teacher. And but this area has become home, and I'm very much attached to the region, to the people, and most especially to the educational institution. So.
Would it hold true that what they say, the more things change, the more they stay the same?
Well,
and what would those same things be?
Well, that's a good question. And as a veteran, I guess, of higher education, I have a tendency in meetings as we're going through different issues and coming up with solutions to those issues. I think, okay, let's see. Back in 1980, we had this very same problem, and this is what we tried, and it didn't work then. I'm not so sure it's going to work now, but you have to let people give it a shot, and times do change. So, we may have a different name for it. We may have a different focus, but really the issues and the problems for both students and for institutions are pretty much the same as they were when I started. So,
well, let's talk a little bit about the students. I know at the University of Rio Grande you have post-traditional students
Yes.
and regular students.
Traditional students.
Tradition.
Yeah.
What's the difference between the two?
The difference between the two is the traditional student is that student who is like 1 to 2 years right out of high school, pretty much a traditional age being 18 or 19 years of age. The post-traditional student would be that student that's over the age of 24, in many cases employed, independent, married, children, or whatever, dependents, and really has a different focus in their life than the traditional student seeking a traditional college experience. So we've seen a big shift in the population here at Rio Grande. This past year, as we look at the Rio profile, we look at the age of our students, and we look at the kind of population that we serve. And one thing that became very clear was that the post-traditional population is rising at the same exact rate that our traditional population is decreasing. So as a result, we're seeing more of the adult students, and we're seeing a different need within that population. They are not suited to the traditional delivery system. They're not the traditional schedule of classes and what we consider to be a traditional college experience. So we as an institution have to adapt to their needs. And within one of the things that I think has changed quite a bit is the mindset of the student. And the mindset of the student is that they have certain needs that need to be met, and if the institution can't meet those needs, then they'll find an institution that can. Whereas in the past, students pretty much blindly accepted, well, this is what they offer, this is what it is, and that's what I go with. So
Yeah, maybe they're looking at it more like a customer.
they are.
Like, what are you going to give me? And in the days of past, how can I measure up?
Exactly. Yeah, that's a good way to put it, and it definitely has, I think, changed in that direction. And as a result, colleges and universities are becoming more having to become more accountable for what they do. It isn't so much now with, for example, within the state in terms of our state subsidies and so on. It's going to be not based on how many students we enroll, but how many students are successful and achieve their goals, and how many students do we allow and get through to graduate. So we are becoming more accountable for what it is that we say we do. We've got to prove that we're doing that.
I find that rather interesting. When students come on to campus for the first time, I can still remember my first day. Where am I going to go? Who am I going to meet?
Right.
Different aspects of a brand new world.
Right.
And we were talking earlier, and you had indicated that the advice from advisors, meeting with advisors, is extremely important and very crucial, not just for the beginning freshmen, but for throughout their entire career.
Exactly. Students absolutely need to have an interaction with their advisor in the major that they've chosen. Students who work with an advisor, students who are engaged in the process of developing a schedule, setting a degree plan, are far greater in number for graduation than those who do not. The percent increases significantly for the students who become actively involved from the beginning in their career planning. So without that, students struggle and flounder, and many times add additional semesters and even years onto their degree completion. So they should seek out, if they come to campus and they don't have an advisor, they're not sure if they do or they don't, they need to come into the registrar's office, and we can certainly help facilitate that or make sure that they do have and give them directions as to how to get to their advisor. It's extremely important, especially within the first semester. I just recently read some research on the first year experience, and the students who met with an advisor 3 times during their first semester have a 20% better chance of graduating than those who did not. So, and you think, well, 3 times over a semester, but really, if you're serious about this and the advisor is serious about helping you, you meet with them initially to express what your desires are for a degree, what kind of direction you want to go. You check back with them to maybe get advice in terms of registration, and then you check back a third time just to make sure everything is on course. So I think that's one of the key elements to a student being successful, is to truly work with an advisor.
I agree. Doesn't it also start? When does when is it suggested that a student start looking for their career path, their choice of colleges, the scholarship? Should they wait till about the latter part of their senior year?
Yeah, no. Unfortunately, many people, students, wait until that time. I often, think about some of the students that do that, and it's almost like they wake up one day and realize, oh my gosh, I have to make a decision. I think I'll go to college, and they've not put any more planning into it than that. Actually, the process should begin way before that. I just had a discussion with some of my staff in the admissions office not too long ago about developing programs in the middle school so that we can start facilitating the student and the parents to think about preparing their kids, and for those students to prepare as they get into high school for the college path. For example, many of the students will select a career right now. Careers in health are very big, and allied science or allied health and nursing and so on. Nursing is our second largest major here on campus. But if you don't take the right classes in high school, you're not going to be able to get right into those programs. So for a program here in the allied health, you generally need to have algebra, chemistry, and biology. You can't bypass those in high school and not be held back really in terms of getting them once you get here. So planning and starting early will assist the student in making the right decisions and an informed decision in terms of what their career path will be.
I know I get emails from students the week before the semester starts that, hey, I've decided to go to school. And I was like, oh, this is a great decision right now.
Well, the University of Rio Grande and Rio Grande Community College is a very unique institution simply because we are the only institution in the country that is both private and public. Now, we're not the only institution that has two-year associate degree opportunities as well as bachelor's degrees, but when you have two entities as we do, the state and the private at the same time, we're the only university with this kind of an arrangement. And so as a result of that, because we are a community college at the front door of the institution, we get a lot of students who are undecided, who don't know for sure what they want to do, or who wait until the last minute to make a decision. Sometimes, students don't know what to do. They've had little guidance. Maybe their parents have never been to college. They really don't know how to advise them, and they're first generation. And as a result, it perhaps puts them at a little bit of a disadvantage. Because of the community college, our doors at the beginning of the experience are open, and therefore, as long as you've completed your high school experience with a GED or high school diploma, you're eligible to begin. And now we have programs that you have to meet certain standards and criteria in order to actually get into the bachelor's level of some of those programs. But it's an opportunity. As a result of that, here at the university and the community college, and I've tried for a number of years to change this culture, but we register 35% of our total population for that semester the 3 weeks prior to the semester beginning. So you see how many people, not only new students, that doesn't just represent new students, that's many of our currently enrolled students who wait till the last minute to register for classes. We have pre-registrations every single semester. We will begin a pre-registration period starting, I think it's November the 4th, I believe, or 5th, I'm not sure. But we'll start that early for spring semester. And I encourage on a regular basis for students to get out there, get registered early. You're going to get the classes you want. You're going to get the schedule that you want. The longer you wait, the less chance you are to be able to get the courses because they'll fill up and you won't be able to get in them. And still, we have 35% of our population waiting until the last minute. So
And-
it's
and-
a dilemma.
Do you think that people coming out of high school, they are waiting to see what shakes out as far as what college they want to come to, and then they finally decide like a month before, whether they've got feelers out or letters out to other colleges?
I think there's some truth to that. I've even had students who have told me they've gone to multiple new student orientations and make their decision after attending an orientation. And so, everybody sends out multiple applications. Not everybody, but a large number of students do, at least to 3 colleges. And I remember one time, this was years ago when I was working as the director of financial aid at that point, and I looked at a student's application for financial aid, and they had 9 colleges listed to get that information. Well, that's great, and I think it's great that you're, putting your feelers out there. But at the financial aid point of applying for admission and financial aid, it becomes very confusing if you get more than 3. So at that point in the game, they should bring it down to about 3 schools. And I think that if they can't make a decision, many of them are going to multiple orientations right up till the last minute before they actually commit and say, okay, I'm coming here. So
That is a little bit foreign to me, and the reason being is that in working with small businesses, one of the first things that we try to encourage individuals to do is do a lot of pre-planning first.
right,
If you do not have a roadmap, you can't get to where you want to go.
that's right.
And I found, in our conversation that individuals wait to the last minute to pre-register. My thinking is you're gonna not be able to get the classes that you need,
Right.
the prerequisites, and next thing you know, you're going 4, 5, 6 years.
Right, you're stalling yourself out. I mean, you're putting it in a situation where, okay, I have to wait another semester to take that particular course, which is the prerequisite for the next course that I need. So it's very important, and that's why working with an advisor
Yes,
is so important,
yeah.
because the advisor can say, no, this is the path that you need to take. These are the courses that you take first, and without that guidance, you can get into a lot of trouble. Over the years, as long as I've been here, there's so many stories. I can remember one young lady came in to apply for graduation, and when you apply for graduation in the registrar's office, we do a degree audit, which means we are going to look at all of your courses as compared to the degree that you requested us to look at, and so on, to make sure that you've met all the requirements. So I sat down to do her degree audit, and I was thinking, okay, she doesn't have any of that. Well, she's maybe 1 or 2 courses, and I called her back in, and I said, "Are you sure this is the degree that you're? What's your major really?" She said, "Well, I don't know." She said, "I've been here 4 years. I just thought it was time to graduate." So, she'd already ordered invitations and had family coming. I said, "But you have nothing to graduate in." And she'd been doing this on her own for 4
Wow.
years. So, shame on us for allowing her to slip through the cracks, but shame on her for not knowing that she needed to seek some help, and that is not how you get a degree. So,
One of the things that I've seen is that you've behind the scenes have set up some really good safeguards in ensuring that the students that are in those particular situations are quickly identified.
yes.
And so that's one of the things that I found rather interesting is your background system to help the students.
Right. Well, and without that, we'd be lost. I think about years ago, before we had the technology that we have today. It's the technology that we currently have that allows us to be able to do that. And as our numbers have increased, and as numbers have increased in other college campuses, without the technology, I don't know how it would be or what we would do. But because of the technology, we are able to track, and we're able to identify other opportunities that perhaps a student is missing, and which is another issue that has, I think, come to the forefront. And I mentioned earlier that the subsidy for the community college students that we receive is going to be based on what they're calling success points. We're really strategically aligned to do a very good job at that because of our setup. Every single bachelor's degree program, except for a couple, simply because of the nature of those degrees, has an associate degree built into it. And in many cases, there are certificates that students can attain along the way. So we have developed a system whereby we can go into the student space system, which is the program that we use here, and we can identify which certificates and which associate degrees the students are closest to. Even though they're on a bachelor's degree track, we can award those things along the way so that they have that credential, and it just builds their resume. And I think that is especially important as we talk about the increased population of adult students. It's been my experience with adult students that life happens, and your intentions, right, this semester I'm going to school and I'm finishing the degree, and then all of a sudden something happens. Your child gets sick, your husband loses his job, whatever it is that causes you to have to stop out. So every certificate or a goal that you can achieve along the way is going to be one thing more that you have to the good that will help you. It just opens more doors. So I encourage especially adult students to take their education in stages and steps. If there's a certificate to be had, let's say, for example, you're going to go for a degree in information technology, let's say. Well, there are several certificates that a student can get within the information technology area. Then the next step is an associate degree. You got that associate degree, and the next step is the bachelor's degree. So you're actually building credentials so that if you have to walk away for a while, you've got something that means something and that you could actually use.
Well, you bring up a good point. However, let's go back to the uniqueness of the University of Rio Grande and Rio Grande Community College.
Yeah.
One is private, one is nonprofit.
Right.
So when a student begins, I'm assuming that they begin in the public.
If they are, yes, right. If they're from the state of Ohio, they are in the private or the public institution. Yeah.
And the financial aid and the scholarships that assist. Is there much of a bureaucracy that's involved for students going from the private or to the public to the private?
Yeah. Well, I'm not sure what you mean by bureaucracy, but in terms of that transition, the university has developed a system of a program of scholarship opportunities for students who make that transition. And yeah, the tuition does go up. And there's a very good reason for that because the state isn't subsidizing the tuition. Our tuition is the same for every student for all 4 years, but we're very fortunate because the state subsidizes those first 2 years and allows the student to come to a private institution at less than it would cost for them to go to many state institutions. That's wonderful. Then all of a sudden, there is no state subsidy, so the tuition goes up. But this scholarship program is based on the fact that the student is going into the private university, which is the University of Rio Grande, and also we look at their grade point average. Every single student who is transitioning is guaranteed a scholarship from $2,500 up to $8,000. So depending on where your grade point average is, and that's a real good incentive to do well in the community college so that your private university scholarship will be much higher. In addition to that, we have a large number of what we call private donor scholarships, and these are scholarships that have been established by other people outside of the institution, endowments, etc., that we also utilize for the junior and senior year. So it offsets that increase in tuition. Students are also eligible for additional student loan monies if that's something that they're interested in pursuing. So we do everything that we can to try to offset that transition from the community college to the private.
One thing maybe a little bit, I don't know if off the topic, but that's related, that education is a different kind of business. You get out of it what you put in. You pay us to show you the way, but it's up to you to make the way. Sort of like if you took your car in to get serviced and the guy came out and says, okay, change this and change that, and you have to do it. But these students that we are getting now think it's a total service. It's not quite that. You have to work at it, and that's where you are more successful, is when you put more into it.
Well, that's a transition from living at home and then coming to your first major step outside the world. It'd be like going into the military service. I would imagine there are many individuals that don't understand why they have to get up at 5 o'clock.
5?
That's sleeping in, isn't it, right?
Like 4.
And so when students do come on campus, it is really they are the ones in charge, and they have to take advantage of all the opportunities that University of Rio Grande gives them. They have to meet with their advisors, and they have to sort of plan out just about everything.
Yeah, they do. That's their responsibility.
So if someone is interested in talking with you about the enrollment or anything, how can they get in touch with you?
Well, they can email me, which that's the best way to get a hold of me is to email, and my email address is Mabel, Mabell, at rio.edu, or you can give me a call at 740-245-7370. And if I'm not available on the phone, I will always get back to you through emails. My wife gets a little frustrated with me because I'll be Saturday night and I'll be sending students emails from my phone. But
and you should be taking her out for
exactly.
a movie.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. So and I would love to have the opportunity to talk to them. There's a lot of opportunities, but the student has to seek them out and they have to ask the right questions, and we're here to help them do that.
Yeah, I've seen people come through your office that are dissatisfied and are not satisfied with the service, but there are things that they need to do. There's
they're
paper
blaming
to-
it. Yeah, they're waiting for somebody else to take care of it, and actually, we don't know unless they do what they need to do to make us aware of what they need. And so we're not mind readers. We try to be. In some cases, we hit it. But it's really up to the student to let us know what we can help
Right.
them
If they
do.
take care of their end of things,
Yep.
your office and the rest of campus
We're
is
right. We're here
right
to serve
there
them.
willing to
Yes.
do everything you
Yes.
can.
Yes, exactly.
Well, Mark, I'm sorry.
Is there any advice you can give a person considering college?
Well, I think definitely higher education is the answer for success in the future, and I think the University of Rio Grande and Rio Grande Community College is a great place to start. So give us a call.
Got 2 minutes left.
Well, I just wanted to thank Mark for coming on and talking about the enrollment. Behind the scenes, we found out that Mark is also a teacher, an instructor, faculty with the Ohio University Horse Park. And you want to just, because we got to get you back on the show.
That's
and talk
right.
about
But that's my passion. I enjoy it. I've worked with horses for almost all of my life. I really enjoy my teaching. I enjoy my students. And as I retire, that's what I'm going to retire to do, is to work with my horses and teach students how to ride.
And so you go down.
I teach right now. I teach every Tuesday afternoon at the OU Southern Horse Facility. These students are all in associate degree programs, and some are in bachelor's degree programs, and in therapeutic riding and in horse training, farm management, etc. So it's pretty exciting. It's exciting for me, and I hope it's exciting for my students.
I bet it is. I bet it is. Again, I want to thank you very much for coming onto our program.
Thank you for having me.
And we will have you back talking about horses.
Okay, that sounds good.
Mike, you're probably saying to yourself, "Where's Jason?" Jason had to take care of some
Family matters.
Family matters.
And who do we have next week? Not
That is-
prepared for that one again.
I looked on the schedule.
Yes. And okay, I guess that's to be determined.
Yes.
Okay.
I need to bring my computer in here.
Okay. Well, that brings us to the end of another episode.
And I want to again thank Mike. Mike Abel is the Dean
Mike
of
Abel.
Enrollment.
Mark.
I knew that. Mark Abel is the Dean of Enrollment here at the University of Rio Grande Community College. Thank you again.
Thank you.
I'm Patrick.
I'm Mike.
And I'm Mark.
Thanks for watching.